I would like to start this episode with a podcast confession. Welcome to Beauty and the Gi, the podcast about Jiu-Jitsu and so much more. I'm Jen Eads, a blue belt full of curiosity and questions about Jiu-Jitsu and so much more.
How much more? Could you say it?
So many things.
So many things.
So many things.
And I'm AJ Klingerman, a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt obsessed with Jiu-Jitsu.
We are almost into 2024. Depending on when you're listening to this, it might already be 2024.
Truth.
I would like to start this episode with a podcast confession. I hate setting goals. There, I said it.
It's done.
They stress me out.
Why?
Because then if you don't hit them, you're a big giant loser.
Disagree, but okay.
In my head.
Okay.
And I mean, we've talked about
this
what
is your
goes
one
on.
wing for sure.
Yeah.
It's your perfectionist wing.
Yes, it is. I mean, I see the value in them. I think I just have gotten to the point where now I approach things a little differently. So I'm less likely to beat myself up. Not that I still don't want to accomplish things. Like I'm not out just here just jacking around all day long.
How do you recognize whether your year felt successful or not?
Money is one of the things, like professionally.
Yeah.
Did I make at least as much as I did last year? Did I make more?
Mm-hmm.
Because I feel like that's measurable.
Right.
So looking at things like that are actually measurable, yes, then that tells me whether I had a good year. Not that I'm defined by money, but
that's something
I measure.
Yeah.
So, and then I go back and try to look at if I made more, great. How do I do, what worked and how do I do more of that? And then if I didn't, then figure out a new plan.
Do you do any kind of calendar audit? Because you could say, all right, I made 5% more this year than last year, but I worked 20% more, or I worked 20% less. So that's an even better increase in income.
Oh, I need to do that now.
Hi, my name is AJ Klingerman, and I am a business coach. Can you tell?
See, it's so much more.
So much more.
I mean, that is the promise we deliver on every episode. It's so much more than just jiu-jitsu.
Exactly. We are well-rounded people.
That's right. Okay, I feel like I'm already off the rails in this episode. So I need you to go into planning, coaching mode and just run the show. I'm just going to hit buttons and check levels at this point. Because you know what? That's my zone of genius.
That is absolutely your zone.
And then I'm going to put this thing together and nobody's going to hear all the stops and starts. And they're going to be like, why is the podcast so short? Because Jen edits out all the garbage.
Are you saying most of our podcast is garbage?
I'm not saying that. I'm just saying there are some times when the perfectionist in me goes, I don't know that the world needs to hear that.
And I'm always like, oh, we missed that funny part. That part was so funny. She cut it out. Because when I'm listening to the podcast, I laugh along with us.
I do too. I laugh while I'm editing.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I listen again and I laugh.
You can't rob them of such things.
No, never.
All right. So instead of official goals, maybe we run it like a training game plan.
I like that.
So when we write out a training game plan, we choose 6 positions, basically, right? Maybe 3 from top and 3 from bottom or, whatever. But it helps you narrow down what you're going for in each spot. You're going to write 2 to 3 things from guard. So if I'm in guard, the only things I'm trying to do are a sit-up sweep, a scissor sweep, or a cross choke.
Yeah.
Okay. And then you do that for 6 positions. I highly recommend one of them being standing because that's one that tends to lack a little bit.
I agree.
But yeah, so then you're trying to figure out what you're going to do from these 6 positions and you're just writing 2 to 3 things down. So what if we kind of took that same thought process and chose 6 aspects of our life that we want to think about or focus on or have a game plan for?
I like it.
Okay, so let's brainstorm some places.
Relationships.
Great. Obviously, that's a great one.
Not that Beth's going to listen to this episode, but I thought that'd be a really good place to start, just in case.
Just in case. If we tell her we name dropped her, she might. All right, relationships. I mean, obviously, the obvious one, if you're listening to this podcast, is probably Jiu-Jitsu. Right? Okay. What else?
Health.
That's a great one. Work, whether that's business or, at your job or whatever. I think that could be a good one.
Fun.
I love that.
It's a core value for me.
Yes, as it should be. Happiness in general.
Yes, fun and happiness.
Yeah. So are we putting fun and happiness as one? Yeah.
I think so.
I think so too. I think they kind of go well together.
Yeah. Not that you necessarily have to have fun all the time to be happy, but I feel like, at least for me,
it does add.
They spend
value.
a lot of time together.
Yeah. Okay. What else? We need at least one more.
I'm trying to think what's in. So I have a journal that I do, the Clever Fox Planner.
Ooh.
I mean, I actually do have a planner, and I look at my week and I look at my months. And
excellent.
I do have things. I'm not just out here willy-nilly. And so I'm trying to think what it breaks things down into. So it does like health and fitness. It's got spirituality. It's got maybe self-development. I feel like self-development is one that
okay.
That's going to be number 6 for me.
All right. Self-development. I was also thinking, like there could be a give back one.
Oh, yeah. I like that.
We could, if we think of a few things over 6, we can just shout them out for other people. So if anyone else thinks of a good section that they'd like to add to this game plan, please let us know.
Yeah.
We'll share them with everyone so that potentially they can have one of those as well.
Yes. And if you're listening in Spotify, I'll make the question, what are your 6 areas that you picked for your 2024 life game plan?
Yes. Excellent.
And now that I've said what the question is within the episode, I'll remember because I can go back and listen to it now.
Like, what was I supposed to ask? I get it.
I'm planning.
Yeah.
I'm planning ahead for future Jen when she doesn't remember what the question was.
She's going to appreciate you. Now, for me, I might break these down more just because that is who I am as a person. So, like my work and job ones, I'm going to divide them up between like business coaching and the gym and the camps and the gear. So like what mine will look like is a lot more than 6 because I'm going to dive into each of those a little bigger. Like for jiu-jitsu, it might be, some competition plans or like, what are my training plans? How many seminars do I want to attend? How many do I want to teach at? So for me, I'm kind of thinking about like how I will dive into these further.
Yeah, I think there has to be subcategories. Yeah. I know for me there does.
Yeah. But I like these overall things. And so if we picked 6 and we did, in a normal training game plan, it's like 2 to 3 things, right? Like you don't want to get overwhelmed, but let's pick 4 for each one.
All right.
Okay. And, we don't have to specifically do them all right now.
Yeah.
But let's kind of think through some. What would be something you want to put on there?
We'll just start with jiu-jitsu.
Okay.
Since it's a jiu-jitsu podcast.
Okay. All right.
Compete.
All right. That's a great one.
You heard it, friends.
You heard it. Okay.
I'm not going to sign a number to compete. Like I've got one competition I'm thinking about right now.
Okay.
Oh, and I'm just going to say this too. IBJJF in March, Indianapolis. If there are any, what am I, Masters 5?
Yes.
Blue belts thinking about registering.
Yeah.
Let's talk about that.
Yeah.
Because I would really like to go against somebody my own age or at least close.
Right.
At least
close. It'd be nice.
So see, I just put that out into the world as taking action on one of my not goals, but game plan items.
Yes. This is also a spin off of, a lot of people don't like to set resolutions for the year. So this is another option. So it's not a resolution. It's not necessarily a goal. It's a goal. Yeah. But it is a game plan.
Yeah. And then to actually determine what my game plan is.
Right. Yeah.
Going into that competition.
Yeah. Okay. So like you're figuring out your competition game plan for that.
Mm-hmm.
Excellent. So I also like for one of my jiu-jitsu ones, I want to roll 1,000 rounds next year.
Okay.
It was my goal this year, but I mean, I had 3 surgeries and, there was a lot going on. I missed a lot of time to be able to roll this year.
Yeah. Do you know how many you actually ended up with, or did you stop counting?
I stopped counting. I was probably around 500 and I just kind of fell off counting. I fell off counting about the time that we went for Rachel's intensives.
Yeah.
And it just I was like, all right, I didn't write down any of those rolls and any the next week. And it was like, there's no catching up.
Yeah.
So I'm going to do better about writing down my rolls and staying up to date on that. And I want to hit 1,000 next year.
All right. We will revisit this.
Yes. Yes. Anything else you want to add to that right now, or do you want to move on?
I think that's it for right now. Like those are my two. There will definitely be things added.
Yeah, of course. Of course.
Yeah.
One of my fun goals is that I do want to try surfing this year.
Yes.
I'm going to try that in Costa Rica. I chickened out last year.
Mm-hmm. It was the coolest thing ever.
I know. I was glad I watched it because that really helped ease my anxiety. Which, I think it can be true in so many different areas. If you just go in and watch a class, or if you just see something ahead of time, you're just like, oh, okay, that's not as bad as I made it out to be in my head.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I want to do surfing. That's one thing.
I like it.
Yeah. Something else, just pick a category and something you want to put in your game plan.
For health, I already know I want more stamina.
Yeah. How are you going to do that?
Getting more rounds.
Yeah. Great.
I have not determined that number yet.
Yeah.
It probably, for me, it won't be 1,000 because I'm not here.
Exactly.
24/7.
Yes. Yeah, I am. Yeah.
But starting January 1, I'm going to write down.
Yeah.
I mean, I know realistically I can get 12 if I'm coming to class 3 days a week.
4 days.
4 days.
For you, it would be 4 because it's morning class. We usually only get 3 rounds in.
Yeah.
However, most of the time, after we bow out, you could be like, hey, does anyone want to get around?
Oh,
and you could get in an extra round.
Yeah.
It's possible to throw in some extras, but not. I think you should consider that you're going to average 9 to 10 a week.
I'm also going to learn math because initially in my head, I thought that 3 days a week at 3 rounds was going to equal 12.
All right. Do we put that under professional development?
Yeah, we're going to put that under. Yeah.
Learn how to add.
Yes. Yes. What's another one you have?
I definitely want to do more free self-defense seminars in the giving back portion. And then, we always raise a lot of money for Alzheimer's at camp.
Mm-hmm.
So I'd like to, see how much we've raised the past few years and see, how much we can increase that this coming year. Yeah. So those are some things. And even increase our donations, like to the Jillian Center and stuff like that.
Nice.
Yeah. I have several in my give back that I want to do. What else do you have?
Well, so one of the things that I have for work is clarifying things. Like, what are my actual offers and where do I want to focus on the clients that I want more of? Another one is setting boundaries and clearly communicating what I need, which I feel like that could go in pretty much every category.
Yes.
We're just going to put that in all of the categories. But yeah, that's one of the things. So I'm reading this book called Essentialism.
Okay.
And it's about just getting rid of the non-essential.
Yes.
but I mean, getting really clear on what is it that you want and then what is it going to take to get there. Mm-hmm. And one of the chapters I just read was on saying no.
I think boundaries could be a category in its own.
Oh, truly.
Like you could make that one of your 6 and then write down places that you want to instill better boundaries.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah, I think that'd be really good. One of my self-development is I would really like to read more. Mm-hmm. I feel like, I read a little bit of a book this year.
A little bit of a book.
Bit of a book. That's not true. I did read John Duffy's book.
Mm-hmm.
I'm pretty sure that was this year. But yeah, not a lot. I'd really like to get back to reading. I feel like I've just kind of let that fall out of my life.
How are you going to set yourself up for success so that you read more in 2024?
I'm really only going to set a pretty low goal of reading 3 books, start to finish, and you
have to actually finich the book?
So
because I start a lot of books.
That's what I'm going to say is I'm going to finish 3, but I may not. I have to be willing to put down a book if I'm not enjoying it.
Yes.
So don't waste my time going, oh, I've got to read that.
Right.
Like, I'm just going to put it aside, pick up another book and start again.
Yeah. I like that.
Yeah. So 3 books, we'll say.
Okay. Do you read in the morning? Do you read at night? I'm guessing your Tuesdays and Thursday morning reading is not going to happen because we're going to be here at 6 a.m.
6 a.m.
I'm very excited about that.
I'm so glad. I'm going to need your excitement because that is
I'm bringing
early.
it.
That is early. I actually plan on writing after morning classes.
Oh.
I used to write a lot. And again, it's just kind of gotten out of habit.
Mm-hmm.
So I plan to use the time in between morning classes to do some writing.
I like it.
Thank you. Thank you. So expect a book coming out in the near future. And by near future, I mean a couple of years. Give me some time.
Fiction, nonfiction?
Probably nonfiction. I have a number of business books I want to write. One of which I wrote in 2020 and just shelved it. So I guess I could like dust that off and
there's a thought.
Yeah. But yeah, I really want to write some business books, especially for jiu-jitsu people.
Cool.
Yeah.
I approve of that plan.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I like this. This is fun. And it's a different way to kind of approach not setting goals.
Yeah. I mean, I already feel better about it. How do you go back then and make sure that things are measurable?
Yeah, because that is a big thing. Like I have this one client, bless him. He is a clown, like legit, worked for Barnum and Bailey's, went to clown college, all the like legit clown. So he brought me his goals for the year and it's like, lift more things. I'm like, okay, if you pick up this can, does that count? Check. Like,
yeah,
it's like, or it was like lift more or something. I'm like, we need to be able to like quantify this a little bit. You have to be able to have something that's measurable, right?
And clearly defined.
Clearly defined. Yeah. So I made him say like how long he was going to lift, how many times a week.
Nice.
Like it doesn't have to be a weight amount. It can just be like, hey, I'm going to, do curls for the girls 3 times a week or whatever it was, like just let's actually set something. And if you did it, then you can check it off. But yeah, so kind of going through, for example, on your health one, you said stamina, right? And it's like, okay, how do we get better stamina? And how do we measure whether we can check that off at the end of the year?
Yeah.
Right.
I feel like that's tracking my rounds.
Yeah. And maybe journaling a little bit about how you feel, so like,
oh, we've seen how I journal. And it usually only happens if it was a bad round. So I will commit to writing notes about all of my rounds.
Good.
And also the other thing that I think is going to help me with my plan is being very intentional and clear about what I want to work on. Because today I had that clarity and it was like, oh, it was so much better.
Right. And you improved so much in a short time on that one thing because you were focusing on it.
Yeah. And I was also in a really terrible mood when I walked in the door this morning. And now I'm back to being the normal little ray of sunshine that I am.
Exactly. Right.
Yeah. A plan helps with your mood.
It does. It does. Because then it just gives you something to focus on. Yeah. And, you can kind of tell whether that was a success or not. Like I like to end my day thinking like, did I win today or did I lose today? And most of the time I'm going to say I won.
Yeah.
Like I may have had little crap things happen, but that didn't make me lose the day as a whole.
Yeah. And that's a good way to look at that.
Yeah. And if it was just awful start to finish, it's like, well, I lost today, but I'll probably win tomorrow.
Yeah. Odds are good.
Odds are good. So shake it off and step up. Right.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So what other, obviously with the self-development, we made me narrow it down to 3 books. So also doing things like when I talked about giving back, I should look at, again, calendar audit and see how many self-defense seminars I did this year, how much I want to increase that. And then I always do this thing. So this is an extra level of crazy.
Okay. Ready? I'm ready. I feel like I'm going to have to put in some podcast, like some additional music right. to really set up.
Set the tone.
Yes.
This is how crazy I am. When I am doing well and really focusing on my goals, I really do the math and course correct a lot. So let's say my goal is let's make it something easy. Like I want to read 12 books a year, right? So it's 1 a month. And then I get to February and I didn't read a book in January. Okay. Well, then now I need to read a book and a 12th of a book a month, right?
Yeah.
And like, that's a kind of silly thing to like try and say, but it's just the easiest one I can kind of give you right now. I guess another great option would be figuring out if I want 1,000 rounds, how many rounds is that a week?
Yeah.
How many rounds is that potentially a day? And then if at the end of the week, I didn't get enough rounds in, then I adjust my goal for the next 51 weeks to how many rounds I need to get in each week.
I like it.
Does that make sense?
Yes.
Do you think it makes sense to everyone else too?
Yeah, I think it makes sense. I think it's math. So.
Yes, it is math, which is on your list of things to do.
Right. Yeah. So here we go.
But no, that course correct helps me so much because it's not just like, oh, well, I've got to hit 1,000 rounds this year. I wonder if I'm on track.
Mm-hmm.
Right. I'm constantly like once a month, I sit down, look at my goals and figure out what I'm on track for, what I'm falling behind, what I'm ahead on, and course correct. Now,
do you like write that in the calendar and make an appointment with yourself?
I sure do.
Okay.
Yeah. And if I am ahead of the game, I do not course correct.
Right.
Right. Because you never know when you're going to fall behind. Obviously, at the beginning of this year, never did I know that I would end up having multiple surgeries. Right.
Right.
So I'm never going to course correct down.
Mm-hmm.
I'd rather exceed. Right.
Yeah.
And my perspective on setting goals is I always do better because I set the goal. It's like one year I set outlandish goals in every category of my life, like just crazy things. And I didn't hit a single goal, not one. But I knew I was a success because I had increased everything so much over the year before.
Yeah.
It's like, even though I didn't hit my goals, I still was so much better off for having set them and having kept them in front of me.
Do you do like a reward if you hit goals, or then like what's a consequence if you don't?
Yep.
I mean, for me, the consequence usually shame and guilt. But.
Yeah, I think it is important to celebrate your wins. And I think we're all really bad about that.
Mm-hmm.
And the problem with that is like, it's just that like on to the next, right? It's, you never take the time to be like, I did something. I did a good job. So at the beginning of the month, I set a few goals for that month. Okay. Maybe it's how many days I want to work out, or that I want to take my vitamins every day that month, like whatever it is. I try to set a few different goals and then I set a reward at that time.
Oh,
so if I hit 60% of my goals, maybe I get a coffee drink out somewhere or something, like a little something. If I hit 100% of my goals, maybe I get to buy a new dress or, like something like, it doesn't all have to be like food or money related, but like, something that you enjoy. And then I make sure to actually do that reward.
Yeah.
Because it's important. It is important to actually reward yourself and give yourself some kudos, or you're just going to get bogged down in the like never enough.
Right.
Right. You don't want to have the feeling of like, what's it matter? I'm just pushing on to the next thing.
Yeah.
It matters. Every step matters.
Okay, I'm just going to say it now, regardless of outcome. You guys do this anyway. You always go to dinner.
Yeah.
But after the tournament, but I'm going to go to dinner. Hopefully Beth will go with me and I'm going to celebrate.
Yeah. Yeah. Celebrate with your friends.
The celebrate might be the hard part that day, depending on my mood.
Yeah.
But just the fact that I will have competed.
Yes.
Because one of y'all are going to register into this tournament with me.
And you're going to have someone to fight.
Yes. And, we're going to celebrate that.
Exactly. Yeah. I love that.
Yes. I'm going to put it on my calendar.
When I was in high school, I've never been like a read for pleasure kind of person. Like I've always enjoyed like business books and stuff like that, even in high school. But anytime I would read, before I'd start the book, I'd stick $20 in the back of it. So then when I got to the end of the book, I could spend that $20 on whatever I wanted.
Oh, that's smart. I like that.
Thanks. It helped.
I might have to try that.
Just a little blow money,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's fun.
Yeah. So find ways to reward yourself like that.
Something else that I do. So in that journal that I have, the Clever Fox Planner, I don't even have an affiliate link for it. I feel like I should.
Right? I know it's not a sponsored product.
They should be though. One of the things it's got a section at the beginning of every week to list out 10 habits. And then it's got, Monday through Sunday. And I am religious about going in and did I do my habits? Because I know for me, if I want to be successful, it's about the process and committing to the habits and the behaviors. Because if I don't have those, I have nothing.
I love that.
Yeah, that's been something that's been super helpful to me.
Can you give me some examples of the habits you do?
Meditation, journal, and then Jiu-Jitsu's on there just because I want to track how many days a week I'm going, because I've committed to 3. And then if I can get rounds in on the weekend, fantastic. And then water, how much water I'm drinking.
That's a good one.
I mean, that goes back to health. Mm-hmm. And then I've also got floss. It's a basic thing, but...
Yeah, but it's nice to know that I'm going to do it every day. I'm going to check it off when I did it.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And then there's another one called Story Life, which is an exercise that goes back to a book that I read, business book, but about telling better stories.
Nice.
That we incorporate into podcasting and business and blah, blah, blah.
Blah, blah, blah.
Blah, blah, blah. But it gets me in the habit of, number one, it's just a record of what did I have? Mm-hmm. And then, so I've got that. I can look back at the end of the year, like, what did I really do this year?
Yes.
So I like that piece of it. But then also, the best stories that we get typically are not when some great big giant thing happened. It was like, oh, I was at Jiu-Jitsu today and I had this epiphany on the mat. And that's where those little things go.
Little anecdotes and stuff. Yeah. Yeah. I love that. I should do a better job about writing down stories. Right now, I mostly when I think of a story, I just put it in my drafts in one of on TikTok or something. I'm I'm going to use this later. Maybe not this exact video, but I'll remember the story this way.
Yeah. Well, and one of the things I did, I made sure I did that in Costa Rica so that I could have a log of, oh, this is what I did this day. And this is the day I went surfing.
Yeah. I love that for vacations too. I wish I did a better job of that because all the time, you go back somewhere and you're like, what was that restaurant we loved when we were here? Who had the best key lime pie in
Key West?
Key West. Yeah, exactly. Don't think I didn't try, 6 or 7 different key lime pies in 3 days.
As one does.
Absolutely.
It's part of the fun and happiness.
Right.
Not so much the health, but.
And I like to, decide which one is the best one.
I mean, you've got to know. We are a resource. And I'm basic with how I track it. It's just it's in a spreadsheet in my Google Drive because I've tried multiple. If I physically write it down in a journal, I'll never be able to find it ever again.
Yeah.
But spreadsheets, that's, who knew? I would grow up and spreadsheets would be my jam.
Right. Also, the funny thing about that is you can just hit Control F or whatever and find when you were looking for key lime pie. So you can just type in key lime pie and that story pops up.
It's amazing.
Oh, that's good. I'm not going to do that, but I like it.
I love your honesty in this moment.
Yeah. So for me, I have my Jiu-Jitsu notebook and then I have a business notebook.
Yes.
So every one of my masterminds or private coaching clients, I'm writing down everything we're talking about in the meetings on the right-hand side, just like I do with my Jiu-Jitsu notebook, right? So if somebody's teaching another class, I'm writing in the right-hand side what we're learning. And on the left-hand side are my notes. So my personal notes. Mm-hmm. So when I'm doing business coaching, it's oh, we should do this. I get good ideas when I'm coaching someone else too, and this would be really good for us. We should do this. And then I'm doing that in jiu-jitsu too. And I actually go back over the left-hand side a lot, way more than I go back over the right-hand side. I'm going to go over the right-hand side in a business thing because I'm looking, all right, Joe, you told me last month that you were going to do this. Did you do it? Mm-hmm. But from the personal standpoint, I'm going over the whole notebook once a month at least to remind myself of the ideas that I've had.
Wow.
It's important. Otherwise, I'm going to forget it.
Yeah, it is.
It's also funny how often I'm like, oh, that's a good idea. We should actually do that. That's smart.
I like that.
It's also funny to go back through my old notebooks and see I'll, doodle what I think my next logo should be or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
and see that and go, that's funny. This is what I wanted 10 years before this was even a company or something like that.
Oh, wow.
So it's really fun to go back and look at that stuff.
Any other thoughts on 2024?
Okay, just one. And this is me being a brat.
Okay.
No surprise. No one's surprised. But one thing that I'm doing and having all my clients do is write 24 goals for 24, right? And Jen's like, I'm not doing that. I don't like writing goals. But I just want to state that if you had 6 categories and you wrote 4 things in each one, I know math isn't something you know yet, but that's 24 goals for 2024. So
you're so slick.
No one's surprised.
No one is surprised by that at all. I'm good with that. I'm going to do that.
I think that's great.
I'm going to walk in here on not January 1st, January 2nd at 6 a.m.
All right.
With my 24.
I love it. I love it. You could also do 8 categories and 3 things in each if you wanted.
Oh, well, now you're really getting fancy.
Sorry. Either way, I'd love to see your 24 goals.
Yeah. Okay. I can do that. And I feel like for anybody that is listening that's like, I don't want to write goals and I don't want to do any of that, those are all stupid ideas. Because there are days when I felt like that.
Mm-hmm.
Another idea I really like that I learned from some other friends is just pick 3 words for the year.
Yeah.
And I like that a lot too, because I will write that's another thing I do, but I write them where I will see them regularly. And I feel like, I think my 3 words are going to just roll over into this year because I can do better than I did last year.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm going to do a rollover. What
are your 3 words? Do you mind sharing?
Simplify is the first one. Like, especially when I think about jiu-jitsu,
mm-hmm.
There's so much I could be doing, but I'm just going to focus on the basics, especially going into a competition and really nailing down my game plan. And I really just want to get the fundamentals down. That's where I need, once I do that, then I can start doing the fancier things. Commit. Also, in my takedowns,
mm-hmm.
I struggle to commit.
Yeah.
And then I don't get them. And then I wind up on my back.
Yeah. Yeah.
So there are consequences.
Okay.
And then actually execute all of these things that I've said I want to do, even like the basic things, like get out there and actually do them instead of planning to do them.
Yeah. So I'm going to promote another podcast real fast.
Okay.
For lots of reasons. I've got like 20 things I want to mention about it. But the Happiness Project, is that what the podcast is called? It's called Happier with Gretchen Rubin.
Okay.
Yes. Thank you. But they do like 24 for 24 goals. They also do a 1-word theme for the year.
Mm-hmm.
And I've been doing that for several years. So like some of my past themes, like one of them was rise. Okay. And because I wanted to like be an early riser, I wanted to rise up like the sun and be the sunshine in people's life. I wanted to rise to the occasion. Like there were lots of different ways to kind of spin it. This year it's been bloom. A lot of times it goes along with camp theme too. So that kind of bloom where you're planted.
What's your 2024 word?
You're trying to figure out what camp theme is, right?
Maybe. You're giving me a lot of credit for being smart and sneaky.
I would do that if I'd gotten it approved with Risser. I would give you the details. I should have gotten that approved first for you. We joke that I'm the head role model in charge and she's the actual head role model in charge.
Is she going to get a shirt with that title or at least a name tag? Because I think that needs to happen.
If you look at her Instagram bio, it says actual head role model in charge. Yep.
I feel like we're in good hands.
Yeah, exactly. That's why I'm okay with it. But yeah, so I like picking a 1-word theme. They also do like a symbol for the year, which I think can be kind of fun too.
Oh.
And then getting little things that like one of theirs was like balance. And so they got like a scale and they got a necklace with a scale on it, like the old fashioned scale, right? Like keeping things in balance. And they wore it as like their reminder of what their theme was for the year and what they were aiming for. And I just really thought that was really cool.
I like that.
Yeah. So if you have a 1-word theme for the year, I'd love to hear them.
Yes. So you know where you can tell us what your 1-word themes are? Instagram.
Right.
You can follow us there at Beauty and the Gi Podcast and message us with either your goals or your themes or your 3 words, whatever is going to work for you. I love hearing that stuff.
I do
then
too.
I'm like, oh, the people that listen to this podcast are so smart.
Right. And so inspiring.
Yes.
I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So where can they find you personally?
I'm also on Instagram at Brassy Broad Jen and on TikTok.
Yes. Yes. And I'm AJ Klingerman everywhere you go. But if you're on TikTok, please follow me. I'm up to like a whopping 310, I think.
We've got to get you to 1,000.
I know
right?
we've got to get me to 1,000 so I can do live videos.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it's role_model. But I think if you looked up role model, you could find me.
Also, it's in the show notes for this episode.
Excellent.
Because I plan ahead.
So good.
I'm a planner.
I appreciate that.
Not a goal writer.
I'm a game planner.
That's right. All right, friends. Thanks for listening, and we will see you on the mat. Beauty and the Gi is a production of the Brassy Broadcasting Company.
And brought to you by Role Model Grappling.